This is one of the most difficult topics to speak about, and yet one of the most important. If you've ever sat at the bedside of an aging parent, spouse, or loved one, you know there comes a time when the body begins to speak in a different language. A quiet language. A language of letting go. I'm Dr. Margaret Wells, and today we're going to talk about the 7 subtle signs that often appear when an elderly person is approaching the final phase of life. My goal isn't to frighten you. It's to help you prepare with grace, love, and awareness, so that when these signs appear, you understand what they mean and what your loved one may need most in those moments. For many families, the final stages of life don't begin with dramatic changes or sudden hospitalizations. More often, they begin with quiet shifts, the ones that are easy to overlook or explain away. A forgotten meal, a sudden sleepiness, a change in breathing that you tell yourself is probably nothing. But for those of us who have worked in end-of-life care, in hospice, palliative medicine, or geriatric practice, these small changes are often the first whispers of a deeper transition. They're the body's way of preparing to release, and they deserve to be seen with eyes that are gentle, not fearful. Before we dive into these signs, I want to be clear. Not every symptom means death is near, and not every person will show the same signs in the same way. But when these symptoms appear together, especially in someone already dealing with serious illness or advanced age, they often indicate that the body is beginning to slow down for good. And when we recognize them, we have the chance to make better decisions, to focus on comfort, presence, and dignity, rather than panic or unnecessary intervention. Let me share the story of Barbara, age 88, a former nurse, mother of 5, and grandmother of 10. Her daughter called me one evening and said, "Mom isn't in pain, but she's different. She's sleeping more. She's not finishing her favorite soup. She looks through me like she's thinking far away." And sure enough, Barbara wasn't dying that night, but her body had entered what we often call the pre-active phase of dying, a period where the systems begin to conserve energy, and the spirit begins to detach from the urgency of the world. She passed peacefully 3 weeks later, but because her family knew what to expect, they were able to be with her, talk to her, comfort her, and say goodbye with full hearts, not panic. That's why this conversation matters. Over the next few parts of this video, I'll walk you through each of these 7 silent signs, including what they look like, why they happen, and how to support someone when you see them. We'll also talk about what not to do, because in those final days, the wrong reaction can cause confusion, distress, or even unnecessary suffering. This is not a checklist. It's a guide, a compass for one of life's most sacred transitions. Let's begin by honoring what you may already be sensing, the small signals that someone you love is preparing to move on. You may have noticed a gradual withdrawal from conversations, long hours of stillness or sleep, an appetite that seems to disappear, a new stillness in the way they breathe or move, or simply a change in their spirit, a kind of peace or sadness or unspoken readiness. These aren't just symptoms. They are often the language of the soul saying goodbye. And you are not alone for noticing them. We cannot stop the tide, but we can sit beside it, hold the hand of the one leaving, and whisper love into the waves. One of the earliest, and often most painful, signs that someone is entering the final stage of life is the loss of appetite. If you're a caregiver, you know how much love is expressed through food. A warm bowl of soup, a favorite dessert, a quiet offer of tea before bed. So when a loved one stops eating, or begins eating far less, it can feel deeply unsettling. But here's what I need you to know. This is normal, and it is not a rejection of your care. It's the body letting go. As we approach the end of life, the body begins to conserve its energy. Just like a tree sheds its leaves in winter to focus on survival, the human body starts to shut down non-essential functions, and digestion is one of the first systems to slow. In simple terms, the body no longer needs food for fuel because it's no longer preparing for the future. It's preparing for rest. And the desire for food, the smell, the taste, the hunger, naturally fades. You may notice this as pushing the plate away, saying, "I'm not hungry," even after long hours, eating only a few bites, choosing liquids over solids, or even refusing food entirely. This can be incredibly hard for families to watch. Feeding someone is a form of love. It's how we show we care. So when a parent or partner says, "No thank you," to that love, it can feel like rejection. But I promise you, it's not. It's simply the body's way of saying, "I no longer need this to feel safe." Let me tell you about John, 91. His daughter was distraught because he hadn't finished a full meal in 3 days. She begged him to eat. She cried while holding a spoon to his lips, but he gently smiled and whispered, "I'm full in a way I can't explain." She called me in tears, thinking she had failed him. But the truth was, her father wasn't starving. He was transitioning. And once she understood that, she stopped trying to force food and started holding his hand instead. Here's what I tell all families at this stage. Do offer food and water, but never force. Try small sips, soft foods, or ice chips for comfort. Accept that even a bite or two may be enough. Focus more on presence and peace than on plates and calories. Reassure your loved one that it's okay not to eat. They are not disappointing you. And here's the most important part. The body has natural pain-reducing mechanisms that activate as it begins to shut down. When food and digestion slow, the body goes into a peaceful, fasting-like state that can actually increase comfort, reduce inflammation, and support a more serene passing. Let me say this clearly. You are not harming your loved one by not insisting they eat. In fact, by letting go of the need to feed, you may be allowing them the peace their body is asking for. Love in the final days is not measured in calories. It's measured in comfort, quiet, and the space to rest without pressure. When an elderly person begins sleeping more and speaking less, many families fear the worst. Why are they so tired all the time? Why don't they respond when I call their name? These questions often come with panic, confusion, and sometimes guilt. But I want to assure you, this is one of the most natural, even protective changes the body makes near the end of life. It's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that the body is preparing to rest deeply, peacefully, and permanently. As the end of life approaches, the body undergoes a slow but deliberate shutdown process. Just like in nature, when animals hibernate or trees conserve energy, the human body begins to reduce output and preserve only what's absolutely necessary. And energy is the first to go. You may notice your loved one sleeps 16 to 20 hours a day, has difficulty staying awake even when you visit, drifts off mid-conversation, or simply keeps their eyes closed for long stretches even while you talk to them. This is not laziness. It's not depression. It's not giving up. It's biology, gently dimming the lights before turning them off. Equally important, their speech may change too. As they sleep more, they may speak in fewer words, respond with nods, whispers, or nothing at all. Begin using metaphors like, "I'm getting ready for a journey," or "I'm going home soon." Seem confused about where they are or what day it is. This is called terminal delirium, and while it may be disorienting to witness, it is usually not painful for them. Sometimes they stop speaking altogether in their final days. But here's what I want every caregiver and loved one to understand. Even when they stop speaking, they are still listening. Hearing is one of the last senses to go, and your voice, your words of love, your prayers, your music, your stories can still be felt, heard, and bring deep comfort, even if they can no longer respond. Let me tell you about James, 85. His daughter kept talking to him, even after he'd stopped replying. She read his favorite psalms, whispered stories from his childhood, and played his wedding song softly at his bedside. Just before he passed, he opened his eyes, smiled faintly, and let out one final breath. I think he waited until he heard it all, she said, and I believe she was right. What you can do, sit with them during naps, speak calmly, even if they don't respond, play soft, familiar music. Don't push them to wake up or engage. Let them rest. It's not avoidance, it's preparation. If they seem to drift off more each day, it's okay. The body is doing what it needs to do, and your presence is more powerful than any medicine. Of all the signs we witness in life's final chapter, changes in breathing may be the most unsettling, especially for loved ones. The breaths may become uneven, slow, or suddenly loud. There may be long pauses between inhales, and if you've never seen it before, it can feel frightening. But I want to tell you something from the bottom of my heart as a physician. These breathing patterns are natural. They are not signs of suffering. They are simply the body's rhythm winding down, like the soft slowing of a drum. As a person nears death, the brainstem, which controls involuntary functions like breathing, begins to lose its automatic signaling power. The result is a range of breathing patterns that look strange but are often completely peaceful for the person experiencing them. Here's what you might see: irregular breathing, long gaps between breaths, sometimes up to 30 seconds, shallow breathing, very quiet, delicate breaths from the upper chest, gurgling or rattling sounds, often called the death rattle, caused by saliva or fluid in the throat, mouth breathing, as muscles relax, breathing may shift to open mouth patterns, Cheyne-Stokes respiration, a pattern where breathing speeds up, then slows, followed by a long pause. As a caregiver or family member, it's completely normal to feel alarmed. But here's the truth. Most of the time, the person is not aware of these sounds. They are not gasping for air. They are not struggling. Their brain is simply easing its greer. Let me share a story about Helen, age 90. Her granddaughter called me in a panic because she heard her grandmother making gurgling noises in her sleep. I came over, placed a hand on Helen's forehead. She was calm, with a peaceful heart rate, eyes gently closed. We repositioned her head, offered a cool cloth, and let her be. She passed the next morning, quietly, with her family around her, listening to soft music. And there was no pain, only peace. So what should you do when you notice these breathing changes? Stay calm. Your peace helps their peace. Reposition their heads slightly to the side. This may reduce rattling. Use a cool mist humidifier to soothe the airways. Do not try to suction the throat. It often causes more distress. Focus on comfort, not correction. Remember, they are not in distress. Sometimes the breathing will pause, and you'll think, this is it. And then they'll take another soft breath a full minute later. This is part of the body's natural unwinding. Irregular breathing is expected and not usually painful. The death rattle may sound scary, but is not felt by the person. Gentle positioning and a calm environment can ease sound and anxiety. Don't try to intervene unless they appear uncomfortable. Let the body do what it was designed to do. Release. Gently, final breaths are not struggles. They are often soft goodbyes from the lungs that once carried a lifetime of love. There is a moment near the end of life, sometimes days, sometimes weeks before passing, when something shifts that you can't quite explain. It's not physical, it's not medical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and you may notice your loved one beginning to withdraw, not in fear or rejection, but in a way that feels like a gentle turning inward. This is what we call emotional withdrawal, and it is one of the most profound and often misunderstood signs that a person is preparing to die. You might notice they no longer engage in conversation the way they used to. They stop asking questions about the world. They don't seem interested in the news, meals, or even favorite routines. There's a stillness in their eyes, and sometimes a faraway look, as if they're already beginning to drift into a different kind of awareness. Many families interpret this as sadness or depression, but in my years of hospice work and bedside care, I've come to see it differently. More often than not, this withdrawal is a quiet, sacred preparation, a letting go of roles, of responsibilities, of needing to hold the world together. It's a transition from outward engagement to inward reflection, from doing to simply being. Let me tell you about George, a World War II veteran in his late 80s. His son David noticed George stopped asking for the radio. He barely looked up when the grandkids visited. He no longer needed help choosing clothes. He stayed in bed, eyes often closed, lips murmuring now and then. David was worried, thinking maybe his dad was depressed. But George wasn't sad. He was preparing. And 2 nights before he passed, he opened his eyes, looked directly at David, and whispered, "I've said everything I need to say." If you see this emotional turning inward, here's how to respond. Respect their quiet. Don't push conversation or stimulation. Sit with them in silence. Your presence speaks louder than words. Offer touch. Hold their hand. Stroke their hair. Be near. Speak from the heart. Even if they don't reply, they feel you. Don't take the withdrawal personally. It's not about you. It's about their inner peace. What's happening in this phase isn't just physical. The spirit, the very essence of the person, is beginning to release its ties to the physical world. And it does this in the most beautiful, dignified way, by slowing down, by turning inward, by preparing without words to say goodbye. Emotional withdrawal is common and often peaceful. It may look like disinterest, but it's often a sign of spiritual readiness. Don't force interaction. Be present, quiet, and gentle. Your loved one is likely reflecting, forgiving, and letting go in their own way. It's not depression, it's transition. When words fall away, presence becomes the purest form of love. By now, you've learned some of the quiet, early signs that an elderly person may be nearing life's end. But in this final phase, sometimes hours, sometimes just a day or two before passing, the signs become more noticeable, more physical, and for many caregivers, more emotionally intense. These last 3 signs I'm about to share often mean that the body is within reach of its final rest. And while they may look unfamiliar or concerning, I want you to remember, they do not mean suffering. They mean surrender of the body, the breath, and finally, the heartbeat. Sign number 5. Hands and feet become cold or mottled. You may notice that the skin, especially around the toes, fingers, or knees, begins to look blotchy, purplish, or blue. This is called mottling. The extremities may feel cold to the touch even if the room is warm. Why does this happen? As the heart begins to slow, the body prioritizes blood flow to the essential organs, the brain, heart, and lungs. That means circulation to the limbs decreases. And the skin reflects this with changes in color and temperature. It's not painful. It's the body's natural way of pulling inward, holding on to what matters most. a sort of internal embrace before letting go. Sign number 6, changes in consciousness and eyesight. In the final hours, many seniors become less responsive. Their eyes may remain partially open or glazed, with pupils that no longer react to light. Some may appear confused or talk to people who aren't in the room. Loved ones who've passed, spiritual figures, or distant memories. This is often described as a thinning of the veil, a beautiful phrase that hospice workers use when someone seems to have one foot in this world and one in the next. They may say things like, "I see my mother, it's time," or simply whisper names or messages that feel sacred and intimate. This isn't delusion, it's not hallucination, it's transition. And what they need most from you in this moment is permission to go. You might say, "You've done everything you needed to do. It's okay to rest now. We'll be okay. You can go in peace." Your words become the bridge that helps them cross gently. Sign number 7, the final breath. Eventually, the breathing pattern will become more erratic, and then there will be a long pause. And then, no breath returns. This is the moment that no one is ever fully prepared for, even if they know it's coming. It is quiet, it is soft, and often it is deeply peaceful. Their face may relax, their mouth may fall open slightly. Sometimes a single tear rolls down the cheek, but in almost every passing I've witnessed, there is a feeling of release, of freedom, of peace. Let me tell you about Daniel, 94. His daughter sat beside him for days, watching all the signs we've discussed. The quiet, the mottling, the slowed breath. On the final night, she leaned close and whispered, "Dad, you've taken care of us long enough. We're all here. We love you. You can rest now." Moments later, he exhaled for the last time. No struggle, no fear, only peace. Play soft music or spiritual readings if they found comfort in faith. Use dim lighting, reduce noise, and offer gentle touch. Speak affirmations or messages of love and reassurance. Cry if you need to. Your tears are welcome here. And above all, stay present. Your presence is the greatest gift you can give. Cold hands, mottling, and skin changes are natural in the final days. Consciousness may shift toward visions or symbolic language. Breathing becomes irregular, then stops, often softly. This is not suffering. It is the body closing a chapter and the soul turning the page. Death is not the opposite of life. It is the completion of life's story. And if we listen closely, that final breath is not an end. It's a punctuation mark at the end of a beautiful sentence. If this video brought comfort or clarity, please like it and share it with someone facing this journey. Subscribe for more heart-centered guidance from me, Dr. Margaret Wells. And in the comments below, feel free to share your story. You're not alone. Together, we honor life and the quiet, sacred art of saying goodbye.